I want to talk about stress eating because here in Israel, at least, this is a time of a lot of stress. There's security stress, there's political stress, there's the holiday stress because Pesach, Passover, is a long holiday, and holidays are a time of stress anyway, without all the other crap going on around in our country. It's such a time of stress with the family and being a guest and hosting and the everything that happens around holidays. Let's face it, we look forward to them and we celebrate them, but on the other hand, they cause a lot of stress. And now with the situation being as it is, with the news so bad, it's even worse. Now, I can tell you, I call it stress eating and not emotional eating because many people who are not emotional eaters will eat when they're in stress because, and what will they do? They won't eat a salad, right? They're going to eat these ultra-processed foods that change the way we feel. They'll go to these ultra-processed foods exactly the same way somebody else will go and light up a cigarette, or somebody else will have a drink, or a joint, or some drugs, or whatever it is, because these foods change the way we feel. Now, of course, I could say, as we always say, that the best way to deal with stress is not by using substances or behaviors to lower the stress, because maybe that helps that helps temporarily, but in the long run, it causes a lot of damage. And that's absolutely true. That's what I teach my clients in my program, sugar-free recovery. I teach them how to not use food as a drug. But what happens when it's that time when you know it's bad, and you go anyway. You know that you're gonna go to the food anyway. And it's sort of like one of these F it syndromes, right? Where you just know it's gonna go to the food. And I've been in those situations. I know about that. And here is when a very, very important thing can come in, which is called harm reduction. Now, unfortunately, the pharmaceutical companies have sort of taken over this term as sort of drug treatment for drugs, but actually, what does harm reduction mean? Harm reduction means if you're going to go and do something that's harmful, well, at least do your best to do the least harmful thing, because within a harmful way of acting, for example, in our case, what I'm talking about is within the act of stress eating, of eating in order to just get the edge off that stress, there is a lot that can be done that is less harmful or more harmful. So let's talk about that. This is my weekly message for you, Monday's message for you. If already you feel like this is it, it's gonna go to the food, there are ways to reduce the harm. The best way to reduce the harm is if you're gonna go to the food, go to real food, not fake food, not ultra-processed foods. Because if you eat an extra meal, let's say somebody eats an extra meal, they weren't hungry, it was just stress eating, but it was real food, okay? Real proteins, even whole carbohydrates that are healthy, vegetables, fruits, whatever it is, real food that Mother Nature and God intended us to eat. And it's the same amount of calories as junk food, like chocolates and ice cream and matzah chocolate or whatever it is. If the real food will cause less fat accumulation, less weight gain, less metabolic harm, which means all those metabolic harms that cause diabetes type 2 and high blood pressure and heart diseases and everything like that. So if it's real food, it's going to also, when it's real food, it's much easier to come back from it because these foods are less addictive. So it's the idea of if you're already going to go to the food, go to real food. If you only can, because the junk food, calorie versus calorie, is going to cause you to gain more weight. It's going to make you crave it more, and it's going to make you feel much, much worse after that temporary relief. Whereas with real food, maybe it doesn't, it's not as enticing and it's not as tempting, but sometimes it's just enough to take off that edge. But on the other hand, it's much, much less harmful than going to the junk. So If, though, you would like to really learn how to, stop using food as stress relief or as a drug, well, then that's what my sugar-free recovery program is all about. And as you can see from today's Monday message, we take a very practical, pragmatic view so you can learn to live life with the ups and downs that life has, free from the obsession around all these addictive, hyper-processed drug foods. I hope you enjoyed this, and please let me know how this worked for you. Love you. See you next week. Bye-bye.